The New York Yankees are 40-15. 40-15. How did we get here? This team's not vastly different than what we saw last year. So how are we here? How are the Yankees 40-15 with the best winning percentage in all of baseball at 727, the only team over a 700 winning percentage? The Mets are the second closest at 655. That's incredible. The Yankees are on pace to win 118 games. 118-44 is the pace they are on, which would break the all-time record set by the Cubs and your Mariners, producer Conrad, at 116 wins. They're on pace to break that. So how? Why? What are they doing different? Well, the moves they made this offseason clearly have worked, okay? It's just made for a different team. They're more dynamic. They bring a guy in that has an energy and a passion and a fire to him that the Yankees could use. They play good defense. They have speed guys they can bring off the bench. It's a different team. It's dynamic. They appear to be healthy so far this year. But the team that they had last year was still very good. They might have even underperformed. Now let's really talk about why this team is so good. It's the pitching. The New York Yankees pitching rotation has been the best in baseball, and it has been historically good. Not even close to anybody else in the league. That's how good they have been. They've allowed the least amount of runs. They have the lowest, listen to this, they have the lowest ERA in baseball, the lowest whip, the lowest opponent batting average, the lowest on-base percentage, the lowest OPS, and their relievers have the third best ERA in all of baseball. That's incredible. They have one starter of all five with an ERA above 3. All other 4 starters are under a 3 ERA. Every single one of their starting pitchers is in the top 25 in Major League Baseball in ERA. Every single one. Garrett Cole, who is the leader of this rotation, who hasn't even been the best one in the rotation, in his last 8 starts, has 8 walks and 69 strikeouts with a 2.03 ERA and a 1.73 FIP. That's incredible. This rotation has been lights out. And what I want to do now is bring on a guy that talks Yankees, talks about the AL East, and we're going to get to dive into him. And this is what I want to ask him. I want to ask him about the starting rotation. I want to ask him why they are doing this. I want to ask him about how much money Aaron Judge is about to get paid when he gets his new contract. But his job, and he works for Fox Sports and writes for us. We're going to bring in Jake Mintz in just a second. We're going to bring him in right now is what we're going to do. And we're going to talk a little bit about the New York Yankees. Jake, thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
It is a pleasure and a privilege to be joining you on this beautiful Thursday afternoon here in New York City, Ben.
A beautiful day there. I love to hear that. So thanks again. And where I want to start with is this pitching rotation. And the first question I want to ask you is, what is different between this year and last year even?
So I think the biggest thing so far has been health. And what I mean specifically by that is that no Yankee starter has missed a turn. So if you look at their numbers, every single guy has made every single start. Cole has 11 starts, Cortez has 11, Tyon 11, Montgomery 11, Severino 10, right? And so the reason that pitching staffs struggle is because the random schlub at AAA, whose name we don't know, has to hop in and make bad starts, right? The Yankees pitchers have been outstanding, yes, and they'll probably continue to be this good moving forward. But what's really key is that they've been healthy and that they've been on the field every 5 days.
Yeah. Health is big for them, and it's nice to see Severino pitching as he has this year has been incredible. Talk a little bit about their pitching coach and what he has clearly brought to this team and everything I've heard from guys, and you're right there in the thick of it and have been able to talk to guys. But from everything I've heard, he has brought a sense of regiment to these guys, a sense of just having a routine and a structure that has really helped them. And they seem to speak volumes about him and what he has brought to this staff as a whole.
Yeah, I think something you notice when you're around the Yankees this year is the kind of camaraderie of the pitching staff. There are a lot of conversations happening all the time, on and off the field. They always go out together at the exact same time as a big group. And I think talking to players, the thing that they really value from the kind of the pitching coach group right now is the level of communication and what are expected of certain players. As an example, Michael King, who had been pitching in kind of short bursts last season out of the bullpen, the Yankees came to him and were like, we want you to kind of extend yourself a little bit and pitch multiple innings at a time. So now he's been able to do that. The Yankees kind of changed his offseason programming and his throwing in spring training. And so for the first chunk of the year, you could see he was basically throwing 3 innings every 4 days out of the bullpen. And that's really unique. And that's a huge kind of kudos to the coaching staff for communicating that to him properly.
What has been the biggest difference this year for Clay Holmes? Have you been able to talk to him and just pick his brain at all about pitching? I mean, he's thrown 26 2/3 innings this year. He's 8-8 in save opportunities, a 0.34 ERA, and 28 Ks to only 3 walks. What has been the biggest difference for him this year?
I mean, he's the best reliever in baseball. Like, ever since he got to the Yankees, he's taken this huge step forward. My partner, Jordan Schusterman, wrote a big thing about Holmes. He talked to him a couple months ago. But the thing with Holmes is, like, if you remember, the Yankees acquired him halfway through last season, like during the trade deadline, and Yankees fans were up in arms. How did we not get more guys? Like, is this really the guy that we got? You can go back and look at the quote tweets from the Yankees announcing that trade, and people were like, who? Why'd we get this guy, right? People were like, we need more. But clearly Brian Cashman knows what he's doing. This is a smart guy. You don't get to be the general manager of the Yankees and convince the Steinbrenners to give you the keys for 2 decades if you're a dum-dum. So Clay Holmes is a really good example of that. It's really simple for him. I mean, the sinker, it's just the best pitch in baseball. Garrett Cole told me that, right? He said Clay Holmes' sinker is the best pitch in baseball. He throws it at a crazy high percentage. Everybody just beats it into the ground. And the guy you would kind of compare him to would be a right-handed peak Zach Britton.
Wow. I mean, it's 100 and it moves like a right-handed changeup, and that's not an exaggeration. It legitimately moves like a circle changeup at 100 miles an hour. Let's shift gears a little bit to the offense, and in particular, Aaron Judge. I know you recently spoke to him and wrote a really awesome article, by the way. I haven't been able to text you and reach out to you, but I read it. It was awesome. It was really cool to read that. Let's talk a little bit about that, his approach this year. Is it different than last year, or is he just uber focused, wants a new contract, and is just killing it this year and really focusing on what he needs to focus on?
I think he's just locked in, right? Yeah. He's hot. He's on fire. He's seeing the ball really well. And I think he has a very clear understanding of what he needs to do to succeed, right? I think sometimes superstars like Judge can get lost in the details sometimes. And I feel like, having talked to him, he has really simplified his approach and simplified the things that he thinks about when he's at the plate. We talked a lot about his back hip as kind of a big cue for him to rotate through the baseball. But yet, like, he's playing for millions, right? He took a huge gamble on himself the day before the season, turning down, I think it was over $200 million, 7 years, seconds before the first pitch of opening day. And at the time, people thought it was the wrong decision, right? And he has proven it so far to be the right move. He should make more money now than he was going to before if he keeps up this pace and wins the AL MVP.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. How much we talking, Jake? What is a potential? Let's say he goes on, and these numbers are ridiculous, but Aaron Judge is on pace to hit 66 home runs, have 193 hits, 136 RBIs, and is on pace for a 10.2 WAR. Let's just say the numbers end up close to that, what does a contract look for him?
Okay, if the numbers end up close to that, which I'm a little skeptical they will, you have to just take a look at other superstars and the money that they've gotten. I don't think he gets to what Mookie got, and that's just because of how old Aaron Judge is, right? In our minds, he's relatively new because he came up at a pretty late age for a rookie. I believe he was 25 was his rookie of the year season. And what that means is hitting free agency at 30, people aren't going to want him when he's 36, 37. And so that and his defense potentially not aging well. And again, we're just nitpicking a fantastic player here. I want to be clear. So I would say, I mean, if he turned down like 7 to 40, I think. So I don't see a team giving him 8 years, but I think he could just up the annual average value and get to like 7 to 70 or around there.
I agree. Is he, and you might not know the answer, I obviously you don't, but how likely is it? I mean, what would you put a percentage at of Aaron Judge not being a New York Yankee next year? Are we talking like 5%? Are we talking like 50%? You can just completely ballpark it. What are we looking at yet there?
He's coming back. I would be
right.
shocked if he leaves. The organization and the player benefit from one another. He is comfortable there, and they will pay him, right? This is not a situation when the Red Sox traded Mookie Betts to save a couple bucks. Aaron Judge, if it all goes right, should stay in pinstripes. The contract that the Yankees offered him was well above what people thought he deserved at that point. And he still turned it down, which is as is right. And like, he's shown that was the right decision, but the Yankees made a pretty generous offer. And I think that showed their intent to make sure he stays around. It's Judge made the right call in like going to free agency. He'll be able to bump that number up. But at the end of the day, I would say a 90 to 95% chance that he stays. Okay. Now, again, knock on wood, like he could get hurt, or the production could tail off. A million things could happen. We've seen wilder things happen, but I feel pretty confident he'll be in New York for a long time.
Last one for you before I let you go. The Yankees are going to be one of the best teams in baseball come time for around the trade deadline. What are some things that you think they need to improve on? Can this rotation, I don't want to say keep this up all year because I don't think that's feasible, but are they going to look to add in this rotation that's historically good right now? Are they going to look to add a bat? What can we look for with the New York Yankees around the trade deadline?
So there are 3 things in my mind. One is starting pitching depth, right? They don't need a frontline guy to go every 5th day. They need someone who is like a 4 starter right now, who can hop in and be their 6th starter if a guy goes down. Yankees fans won't love this name, but like J Happ is that type of guy. They shouldn't go get J Happ because that didn't go well the first time. But like, someone who is a veteran who has experience pitching in pressure situations, who can suck up a bunch of innings, right? And they've gone out and gotten that guy before. They went out and got Lance Lynn before Lance Lynn turned into Lance Lynn. A number of years ago, they went out and got J Happ for that same thing. So I think they'll find a veteran with some experience to kind of give them some rotation depth. So that's the first thing. Second thing is more bullpen arms. So Chapman is still on the IL, and he was ineffective before he went on the IL. Jonathan Loaisiga, ineffective and on the IL as well. That kind of leaves their bullpen pretty shallow. Right now, you've got Clay Holmes, Miguel Castro, Michael King, Lucas Luetge, Wandy Peralta, and then Clark Schmidt's been very, very good. None of those guys are like, shut down, hand them the ball, feel outstanding about this, except for Holmes. And so I would imagine they go out and get some sort of veteran arm or another Clay Holmes type guy with really good numbers on a bad team, similar to what Cashman did last year. If like Mark Melancon has a good month, I know he has another year on his deal, but he's like a type of veteran arm they could go and get to kind of stabilize the bullpen. And then David Bednar with the Pirates is just go get the Pirates closer this year, right? He's a good bullpen arm. And then the last one is center field. And this is just an uncomfortable conversation about Aaron Hicks, who has been a little bit better recently, but has really struggled this year coming back from injury and is, in my opinion, the weakest link in the offense. I think Joey Gallo will eventually figure it out. He is the player he is. He's not going to change. He has gotten some boos in the Bronx, which I don't necessarily think is like an indication that he needs to alter anything. That being said, I think Hicks is the guy where it's like, if you really want to upgrade and you want to get like an elite center field defender to put out there, and similar to how they went out and got a good, not elite, but a good defender at shortstop in IKF, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, that's a place that they can improve. I would assume that maybe Brian Cashman thinks that Tim LeCastro might be that guy. He's been hurt so far this year. But I would say center field, starting pitching, in the bullpen are the three places you could really see them make a move.
All right, perfect. We'll be on the lookout for that. Jake, thank you so much for joining me, my friend. Always appreciate it.
Keep it easy, Ben.
Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.